6:45, this is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news edited by Dhanvishka Madhavala, read by Soundithavam. It is stressed that rice stocks in the country are sufficient until the harvesting of the Maha season. The country will experience a huge educational change from next year. Schools will close today for the August holidays. The Kandy SLBC festivities begin today. India hands over Dornier 228 surveillance aircraft to the Sri Lanka Air Force. Special notice on allowances for kidney patients, the disabled and elderly persons. In foreign news, Libya militias battle in Tripoli after commander's arrest. And in sports, Man City beat Seville earned penalties to win Super Cup. The Green Agriculture Operational Centre says that rice stocks in the country are sufficient until the harvesting of the Maha season. This was revealed at a meeting held yesterday at the Ministry of Agriculture. The meeting was held under the patronage of Minister Mahinda Amaravira. The centre said that there is no need to import rice to the country. Sufficient stocks of other food varieties like green gram, cowpea, peanuts are in the country at present. The centre also said that chicken and eggs will also be enough until the end of this year. Addressing the meeting, Minister Mahinda Amaravira said that a mechanism should be created to control the price of vegetables. Minister Susil Premajanta said that the country will experience huge educational change from next year after the implementation of the educational reforms. The main focus will be the ease of the shortage of trained school teachers. Special programs will be implemented to cover the primary educational activities missed due to the school closure of the last few years. An agreement has been reached between the government and the UNICEF in this regard. The minister stressed that the government has made arrangements to conduct school activities and the exams without delay. All government and government-approved schools will close today for the August holidays. The second school term for the 2023 academic year commenced on the 24th of July. The Ministry of Education said schools will resume academic activities once again on the 28th of this month. The second phase of the second school term for the year 2023 will continue until the 27th of October. The Education Ministry said that the third school term will begin on the 30th of October. The minister said schools will be closed once again from the 25th of November to the 31st of December for the GCE Advanced Level Examination. Schools will reopen for the final phase of the third term on the 1st of January 2024. The third school term for the 2023 academic year will continue until the 16th of February 2024. This news broadcast comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
Sri Lanka Insurance, like a father, like a mother.
The Kandy SLBC festival starts today with the planting of the kappa at the auspicious time in the Satra Mahadevalayas. After the planting of the kappa, 5 internal paraharas will be held in the Satra Mahadevalaya of the Natha, Vishnu, Kataragama and Pattini, and the Kumbal Parahara will parade the streets after that. Pradeep Nilankadala, the Devadhanilame of the Sri Dalada Maligava, said that the ritual of the planting kappa in the Satra Mahadevalayas was done today at the auspicious time of 6:12 a.m. After completing the 5 internal paraharas of the Devalayas, the first Kumbal Parahara is scheduled to tour the streets on August 21st. The Kumbal Parahara will parade the streets for 5 days from August 21st to the 25th. Nilankadala said that the Randoli Parahara will parade the streets on August 26th and the final Randoli Mahaparahara will be held on August 30th. Until a new scheme is prepared, the government has decided to pay the existing allowance for 647,683 kidney patients, disabled persons and low-income elderly citizens without making any changes. Taking to Twitter, Finance Minister of State Shehan Semasinga mentioned that necessary financial allocations have already been made for these payments. According to the lawmaker, 517,962 elderly citizens, 88,602 disabled persons and 41,119 kidney patients, including those in the waiting list in the Aswesma Welfare Benefits Program, would be given the allowance. The payments are expected to be made in the coming days. Semasinghe further said that elderly citizens can collect their allowances from post offices. Meanwhile, disabled persons and kidney patients can collect their payments from the divisional secretariats. That concludes local news.
Listen, no fake news, false flags, it is the real thing. Breaking records, making history, you know we got the big bling. 10 billion bonus all across the island. Ka-ching! Not millions, talking billions, yeah, it is the big win.
History's highest ever sure bonus declaration for SLIC life policyholders in 2022 exceeds 10 billion rupees.
10 billion bonus gonna make your dreams come true. 10 billion bonus for you.
Sri Lanka Insurance, like a father, like a mother.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
A successor Dornier 228 maritime surveillance aircraft was handed over to the Sri Lanka by India at a ceremony held at the Sri Lanka Air Force Base in Katunayake. The aim was to bolster Sri Lanka's capabilities in maritime surveillance. In response to Sri Lanka's request, the Indian government took proactive measures during these deliberations. They decided to provide a Dornier 228 maritime surveillance aircraft, which is part of India's Navy fleet, to Sri Lanka, free of cost for a span of 2 years. Upon its delivery, the Dornier 228 aircraft was instrumental in performing specialized tasks within Sri Lanka over the past year. Subsequently, it underwent mandatory annual maintenance services in India. That was the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
Watch Life is brought to you by
CIB Janajaya Vasana. Unbelievable discounts and offers throughout August from CIB Janajaya Vasana. Come today itself.
The Committee on Public Enterprises last week summoned Sri Lanka Vocational Training Authority before the committee and reviewed the progress of implementing the recommendations given previously. At the beginning of the committee meeting, the COPE chair congratulated the progress made by the Vocational Training Authority in accordance with the recommendations given during the previous COPE meetings. That came to you in Watchlight.
CIB Janajaya Vasana. Unbelievable discounts and offers throughout August from CIB Janajaya Vasana. Come today itself.
On to a bulletin of world news making headlines this morning. Libya militias battle in Tripoli after commander's arrest. Mob burns churches in Pakistan over blasphemy claims. And more than 60 migrants feared dead at sea off Cape Verde's coast. Two powerful militias that back Libya's UN-supported government have clashed in the capital Tripoli, killing 55 people and injuring 146 others, medics say. The fierce fighting, which erupted on Monday until late on Tuesday, forced the city's main airport to close. It only subsided after one side released a commander whose detention had triggered the fighting. Libya remains in political chaos after long-serving ruler Colonel Muammar Gaddafi was overthrown and killed in 2011. The country is effectively now split between an interim, internationally recognized government in Tripoli and another one in the east. A 2020 ceasefire has brought a measure of peace, but entrenched factionalism on all sides constantly threatens to upset it. Fighting has left many people trapped in their homes as battles took place in several districts of the capital, including Ain Zarah in the southeast. Thousands of Muslims in a city in Pakistan have set fire to churches and vandalized homes belonging to Christians over claims that two men had desecrated the Quran, the police say. The attacks took place in Jaranwala in the province of Eastern Punjab. Police said at least 4 churches had been set on fire, while residents said up to a dozen buildings connected to churches had been damaged. Blasphemy is punishable by death in Pakistan. No one has ever been executed for it, but dozens have previously been killed by mobs after being accused of the crime. The Muslim community is believed to make up over 96% of Pakistan's population. The police making the case against the 2 Christian men say they found pages of the Quran, the holy book of Islam, with derogatory remarks written in red, Reuters reported. More than 60 people are feared dead after a boat carrying migrants was found off Cape Verde in West Africa. 38 people were rescued, including children aged 12 to 16, the International Organization for Migration said. An estimated 100 people, mostly from Senegal and Sierra Leone, was said to have been on board the boat and had been at sea for a month. It is not immediately clear when the incident occurred. The vessel was first spotted on Monday, the police told the AFP news agency. Initial reports suggested the boat sank, but it was later clarified that the boat was found drifting. The wooden pirogue-style boat was almost 200 miles off the island of Sal by a Spanish fishing boat, which alerted authorities, police said. Senegal's foreign ministry said in a statement issued later on Tuesday that the boat had left Senegal on the 10th of July with 101 passengers on board. Back to the headlines of the world news. Libya militias battle in Tripoli after commander's arrest. Mob burns churches in Pakistan over blasphemy claims. And more than 60 migrants feared dead at sea off Cape Verde coast. That concludes this bulletin of world news, and moving on to development news.
Development News is brought to you by
Job opportunities from Deshak Sri Lanka in Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, Oman, including company housemaid, salary 156,000 rupees, 23 to 57 years. Contact 037 7500 500.
Lanka Satos has decided to reduce the prices of 9 essential food items. Issuing a statement, Lanka Satos has stated the price reduction will be effective from today. Lanka Satos added that the decision to revise the prices of selected essential food items had been taken to ease the burden on the consumers. The goods and revised prices includes milk, powder, garlic, sprats, brown sugar and soya meat. That came to you in development news.
Job opportunities for women from Deshak Sri Lanka in Saudi Arabia, Kuwait and Oman. Company housemaids, caretakers and home cooks in Saudi Arabia for ages 23 to 57 years. Salaries starting from 156,000 rupees. Interviews are now on with foreign agents. You can now travel overseas free of charge. Branches, Colombo, Kurunegala, Anuradhapura and Matara. Contact number 037 7500 500. Deshak Sri Lanka Foreign Development Agency.
On the sports news, Manchester City added the UEFA Super Cup to the treble they claimed last season with victory over Seville on penalties in Athens. Pep Guardiola's Champions League winners lost the Community Shield to Arsenal in a shootout, but saw their fortunes transformed when Seville's Nemanja Godel hit the bar after 9 successful penalties. City had to come from behind in an entertaining encounter to force penalties after a towering header from Youssef En-Nesyri put the Europa League holders ahead on 25 minutes. Seville goalkeeper Bono and his Manchester City counterpart Ederson both excelled with 5 saves before man of the match Cole Palmer rose at the far post in the 63rd minute to level with a looping header from Rodri's cross. That's sports news. We take a look at business news next.
Go ekatiyana youth ekata life eke change ekata niyameta set wenna aswahagena dakapu hina habe karanna youth ekata niyameta set wenna friendship eka menna.
The all-new NSB Ithru account, NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Sri Lankan Airlines CEO Richard Nuttall said it's poised for privatization and having achieved an operating profit for the first time in 15 years could become an attractive acquisition target for Gulf-based airlines such as Emirates and Indian carrier Air India. Nuttall indicated that carriers from the Gulf region could capitalize on the airline's favorable position among its neighboring Asian countries. He told this to the National. Among the potential contenders, Nuttall suggested that Emirates, which formerly held a 40% stake in Sri Lankan Airlines, might consider responding to the Sri Lankan government's intention to privatize the airline, and came to you in business news.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Go ekatiyana youth ekata life eke change ekata niyameta set wenna aswahagena dakapu hina habe karanna youth ekata niyameta set wenna friendship eka menna.
The all-new NSB Ithru account, NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
On economic news, an IMF spokesperson Tuesday said that an International Monetary Fund staff team will visit Colombo next month for the first review on Sri Lanka's loan program. The Washington-based lender approved a nearly $3 billion bailout for Sri Lanka in March. The country is struggling with its worst financial crisis in over 7 decades, triggered by a severe shortage of foreign exchange. The first review will take place from September 14th to the 27th and considers the program's performance until end June, and if approved by both the staff and the executive board, would allow a disbursement of around $338 million. That's economic news.
Weather report.
A few showers will occur in the western and Sabragama provinces and in the Galle and Matara districts. Mainly fair weather elsewhere over the island. Fairly strong winds, about 40 to 45 kilometers per hour, can be expected at times in the northern, north central and northwestern provinces and in the Trincomalee and Hambantota districts. To conclude this bulletin of news, a recap of the headlines. It is stressed that rice stocks in the country are sufficient until the harvesting of the Maha season. The country will experience a huge educational change from next year. Schools will close today for the August holidays. The Kandy Estela festivities begin today. India hands over Dornier 228 surveillance aircraft to Sri Lanka Air Force. Special notice on allowances for kidney patients, the disabled and elderly persons. Libya militias battle in Tripoli after commander's arrest. And Man City beats Seville on penalties to win Super Cup. With that, we conclude this morning's news broadcast.